The tourist crossed the forbidden line and attempted to grab the reins, triggering chaos. The guardsman, breaking protocol, astonished everyone with his actions, and the consequences for the tourist turned out to be unexpected. What happened next became a true sensation. Against the grand gates of Buckingham Palace, the morning sun gently illuminates the figure of guardsman John. His posture is flawless, his gaze fixed forward, and every movement radiates strict discipline. John isn't merely a tourist attraction. He is a living symbol of the ancient traditions and pride of the British monarchy. Today, like every other day, he stands at his post, ready for the unpredictable antics of the crowd. Among the incoming tourists, a middle-aged man named Mike immediately stands out. His bright t-shirt, emblazoned with the bold slogan, "King of all vacations," hints at a boisterous and self-assured personality. His behavior is just as eye-catching. Loud laughter, inappropriate remarks, and attempts to rally the crowd. Mike shouts, "Hey, Mr. Statue, crack a smile for once," before laughing at his own joke. The crowd, accustomed to such antics from tourists, reacts in various ways. Some film the scene, others offer crooked smirks. John remains as composed as ever. His stony expression is a testament to his professionalism. But Mike doesn't stop. "Come on, mate. Is your whole job just standing there?" he taunts, stepping closer. Then he takes a bolder step, reaching out to touch the famous bearskin hat. A collective thought seems to echo through the crowd. "Seriously?" John makes a barely perceptible movement, a silent reminder of the boundaries, prompting Mike to step back, only to plot his next stunt. Minutes later, Mike pulls a prop bearskin hat from his bag, places it on his head, and begins a clumsy imitation of the guardsman's march. His exaggerated movements are so ridiculous that the crowd bursts into laughter. Yet John remains steadfast. He has faced such trials many times before. His face exudes the dignity and respect for tradition that Mike so clearly lacks. This chapter sets the stage with an atmosphere that underscores the contrast between the grandeur of tradition and the modern decline in decorum. John embodies resilience. Mike, brazen audacity. The crowd's mixed reactions hint at an underlying tension, ready to escalate into something more. After his initial attempts to parody the guardsman, Mike decides to take things up a notch. "What's the matter, Mr. Hat? Cat got your tongue?" "Fine, I'll show you how it's done," he shouts, stepping over the white line that marks the forbidden boundary for tourists. The crowd freezes. That white line is sacred, a symbol of the guardsman's duty and the respect demanded by his role. Crossing it is considered a blatant challenge. Without hesitation, John steps forward and commands in a firm voice, "Step back, sir." His authoritative tone reverberates across the square, prompting many tourists to instinctively back away. But not Mike. He pretends not to hear. "What? I didn't catch that. You're here to entertain, so entertain," he yells, staring directly at John. The crowd begins to divide into two factions. Some laugh, egging on the troublemaker, while others grow visibly uncomfortable. An elderly woman with a stern expression remarks, "These men serve their country, not as circus performers. Shame on you." Though her voice is barely audible over the commotion, a few nearby tourists nod in agreement. Seeing that his provocations aren't eliciting the reaction he wants, Mike ramps up the theatrics. He puffs out his chest in an exaggerated pose and begins to march clumsily in front of John. His movements are so cartoonishly overdone, they resemble an old animated film. Once again, the crowd erupts in laughter. John, however, remains as still as a statue, his eyes the only sign of mounting tension. It's clear he's making a deliberate effort to maintain his composure. Years of service have conditioned him for such provocations, but today, the line between restraint and anger grows increasingly thin. Mike pulls out his phone and starts filming his antics, narrating loudly. "Here I am, entertaining the folks in London. Smash that like button if you want Mr. Guardsman to finally crack a smile." Several tourists pull out their phones to record the scene, though disapproving murmurs ripple through the crowd. A young man in the audience mutters, "Why humiliate someone just doing their job?" But his words are lost in the noise. The situation reaches its breaking point when Mike approaches John's horse. At least the horse might say something, he quips, stepping toward the animal. The crowd falls silent, recognizing the danger of what's about to happen. Undeterred, Mike reaches for the reins, causing the horse to snort and back away. At that moment, the tension snaps like a tightly drawn wire. Mike, fully confident in his invincibility, steps closer to John's horse. Well, at least the horse might talk to me, he quips, clearly reveling in the crowd's attention. His hand reaches for the reins, but the horse, sensing danger, jerks away suddenly. In that moment, everything goes awry. A sharp cry cuts through the air. A small boy, startled by the horse's movement, tumbles to the ground. John acts instantly. Though strict protocol demands he remain at his post, the situation calls for a different kind of duty. Breaking the rules, he steps forward and helps the boy to his feet. With a steady hand, he lifts the child, checking to ensure he isn't hurt. The crowd, which moments ago was laughing, falls silent. John, who had seemed like an unfeeling emblem of discipline, now reveals a deeply human side, reminding everyone that he is not just a soldier, but also a compassionate person. The mood among the onlookers shifts dramatically. Those who were laughing now appear sheepish. Applause breaks out among the crowd. "Now that's a real hero," someone remarks. The tension dissipates, but John's gaze remains focused and serious. With an authoritative wave of his hand, he urges the spectators to move back behind the barrier. Mike, noticing the shift in the crowd's mood, scrambles to defend himself. "I didn't mean any harm. It was just a joke," he insists. But his excuses are drowned out by the murmurs of disapproval. "This isn't funny anymore," an older woman says loudly. "You've shown no respect for people or their work." John returns to his post. With a slight adjustment of his bearskin hat, he resumes his motionless stance. But his actions remain the focal point of the moment. Tourists who had merely come for entertainment now understand the weight of discipline and duty, embodied in his silent presence. The scene involving John and the young boy quickly becomes a viral sensation. Someone in the crowd managed to record the incident, and within hours, the footage spreads like wildfire across social media. However, rather than achieving online fame, Mike finds himself on the receiving end of public scorn. Memes flood newsfeeds with captions like, "How not to be a tourist," and "The show's over, the hero stayed." His antics are mocked relentlessly, while comments overflow with anger. This is what selfishness looks like, ruining someone else's day for your own amusement. In stark contrast, John becomes a symbol of resilience and humanity. Social media users praise his stoicism and bravery in breaking protocol to help the child. "A true professional. This is what every soldier should aspire to be," reads one widely shared comment. The royal family issues an official statement commending John for his valor, while news outlets highlight the event as a reminder of the importance of respecting tradition. The following day, life at Buckingham Palace seems to return to normal, but the atmosphere has shifted. Many of the tourists gathered discussed the events of the previous day. The crowd is more subdued, and the spot where John stood now carries an air of reverence. John, back at his post, adjusts his bearskin hat and sneaks a quick wink at the boy, who has returned with his family to express their gratitude. This small human gesture becomes yet another viral moment, spreading smiles and admiration around the world. In the story's conclusion, the guardsman remains firmly at his station, a steadfast emblem of unyielding discipline and honor. Yet, to the crowd, he has become something much more than a ceremonial figure. He is a living reminder that traditions are not just rigid rituals, but vibrant, enduring pieces of culture that deserve respect and appreciation.